For 10 long years, a young girl carried a diary that no one was allowed to open. Not her friends, not her teachers, not even the people she loved the most. Today, you will hear the story inside that diary, a story of pain, courage, healing, and hope. And as you watch, you will also improve your English by following a simple, clear, and emotional story, step by step. Welcome to this English listening practice story. In today's episode, we explore the life of a girl who carried a secret diary for 10 years. You will hear easy English, slow narration, and meaningful sentences that help you learn naturally. This story will teach you new vocabulary, emotional expression, and the power of storytelling. Now, let's begin. Her name was Aisha. She looked like every other student in her school. Quiet, gentle, always carrying a small brown notebook in her hands. But this notebook was not just a notebook. It was her secret diary. She held it tightly, as if it was a part of her body. She never let it out of her sight. Some teachers thought she was shy. Some students thought she was strange. But Aisha didn't care, because inside that diary were the words she could never say out loud. Words she was afraid to share. Words she didn't want anyone to judge. Words that protected her heart. Every night, she wrote in it. Every morning, she carried it with her. For 10 long years. Aisha wrote her first diary entry when she was only 7 years old. It was the night her parents had the biggest argument she had ever seen. She didn't understand their words, but she understood their anger. And she felt something break inside her chest. That night, she opened a blank notebook and wrote one simple sentence. I feel alone. It was the first time she put her feelings into words. The first time she trusted paper more than people. She didn't know it then, but this diary would become the map of her life. As Aisha grew older, her world grew heavier. Her parents separated. Her home changed. Her routines changed. Her personality changed. But one thing never changed. Her diary. Inside its pages, she wrote about her fears, her dreams, her secrets, her mistakes, and the things she wished someone would notice. She wrote slowly, with simple words, because even expressing sadness felt difficult. Sometimes she wrote only one sentence, sometimes only a single word, but every entry was honest. Her diary became her best friend, the only place she felt safe. One day, when Aisha was 14, her English teacher, Miss Clara, stopped her after class. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Aisha froze. Nobody had asked her that question in years. Miss Clara didn't push. She didn't question the diary. She simply said, "Writing is a beautiful way to take care of your heart. Whenever you want, you can talk to me, too." It was the first time Aisha felt seen. But she wasn't ready to share her secrets yet, so she nodded, smiled politely, and walked away. But something inside her changed. For the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone. When Aisha turned 16, life became even harder. Her mother lost her job. Money was tight. Arguments were loud. Tears were common. One night, Aisha opened her diary and wrote the longest entry of her life. She wrote about her fear of failing school, her fear of losing her home, her fear of disappointing everyone. Her fear of becoming invisible. At the end of the page, her handwriting began to shake. She wrote, "I want someone to understand me." Then she closed the diary and cried herself to sleep. It was the lowest point of her life. Months passed. The diary grew thicker, but Aisha's heart grew heavier. One afternoon, she was sitting alone under a tree near her school. Her diary was open on her lap. She was rereading old entries, all the pain she had kept inside for years. Suddenly, Miss Clara approached her again. She sat down beside her and said quietly, "You don't have to show me the diary, but if you want, you can tell me one line." Aisha hesitated. Her hands trembled. Her throat tightened. But then, for the first time in 10 years, she spoke her truth. She whispered, "I feel like no one hears me." Miss Clara's eyes softened. She replied, "I hear you, and you deserve to be heard." Those words opened the door Aisha had kept locked for so long. For the first time, she cried in front of someone. For the first time, she shared her pain. For the first time, she felt light. When Aisha turned 17, she opened her diary to write an entry she had never expected to write. She wrote, "Today I shared my story with someone, and I wasn't afraid. Maybe I don't need this diary forever. Maybe one day I will be strong enough without it." It was not a goodbye. It was a beginning. She closed the diary gently, not out of fear, but out of peace. She didn't throw it away. She didn't hide it. She placed it on her bookshelf, next to her favorite books. For the first time, the diary did not control her life. It completed it. Aisha carried her secret diary for 10 long years. But the real story was not the diary itself. It was the courage to speak, to share, to heal, and to grow. If you are watching this to improve your English, remember this: your voice matters. Your story matters. And every time you listen, read, or learn, you become stronger. Thank you for listening. Stay kind, stay brave, and keep practicing English with stories that touch your heart.